It is Izwa keeping you in the know. The name is Leander Kandiero. You can call me Lee K. If you want to get in touch with us via WhatsApp, it's 0772 751 573. This is a show that we call Tell Me More, where we invite people who let us into some of the insights, some of the experiences, some of the stories, some of the journeys that they've traveled, just so that we learn. Because remember, it is Izwa keeping you in the know. I'm seated here with Mr. Richard Dhliwayo. Not a stranger at all, but I'm welcoming you once again to Izwa keeping you in the know.
Thank you very much, Leander. It's wonderful to be here.
So this segment, we call it Tell Me More, where we sit down and we talk about people from different aspects of life. The one that I've been really interested in speaking to you more is your understanding, or your deep understanding on the purpose of mankind. I've sat down with you so many times, and you have taken me on journeys and information that I did not think even existed, mind-blowing stuff. And so I've decided to sit you down because we feel at Izwa keeping you in the know that more people should know. It's up to an individual to decide whether they agree or not. But I've always admired the depth of understanding
Thank you very much.
that you have of the purpose of mankind. And when I say mankind, I'm looking at both male and female.
Yes.
However, today we want to zero in on the man, the male. Because when I look at Zimbabwe, we've discussed this on a lot of issues, on issues panning nyaya. We see a lot of issues coming up, and a lot of shows even coming up to try and help the man navigate his way through life. Because there's so many issues, suicide, drug abuse, and so many issues that we see where we feel like, could the average Zimbabwean man be losing it? Murume actually in control here. Do we still have grip as men, as males, as fathers and heads of houses? Ndonyata kushedzera pano mukoma. Saka ndinoda kuti tidzoke kumashure. Pandingada kutangira inini. Ndipo kuti, so what is the purpose of a man, a male?
Thank you very much, Leander. This is a very deep issue which asks for us to go deeper than the average thinking of mankind. Remember, a man is made up of what he eats, what he drinks. If I ascribe unto you a man according to a certain tree, it will be very difficult for the listeners and the viewers to understand us. That you know, there are other animals which seems to be medicinal or health-wise traditional. If you eat them, they are meat. The reason is not because of the nature of the animal. It is because of what that animal is. So I'll come back to zeroing this type of a man that we are describing, the man who is used to eat GMOs and so forth, the type of thinking that comes from a man who eat weak things, and the type of a man who just eat roots. They are two different men. However, let's go to the origin of man. Where can we find the origin of man except in the books that speaks of creation? There is nowhere. Because we have tried to find a man in evolution status and found that there are always some missing things. For example, the evolution theory will be defeated by the fact that still there are apes right now in the world. But we have never seen, from the time you were born, Leander, you have never seen an ape which is nearing to develop to be a human being until this day. That is how it will be defeated. Any other animal has not. Yes, we can train animals to do certain things that they do not do, but they haven't changed. Meaning that we are forced one way or the other to ascribe man to the creation. Now, the only one of the books that speaks of creation is the Bible, where man was created by God in his image. If you check in the creation of man, there are things that you find out that, number one, darkness was not created. It was there. Water was not created. Yet man is created in the image of God. If you check that image of God, it is only in Genesis chapter 1 verse 26, you find out that the word God, G-O-D, is plural, it's not singular. Yet on the past 7, and God says, seems as if God, G-O-D, is singular. until you go to verse 26 of Genesis chapter 1, that God is plural. Meaning that when we are talking of men, we are talking of plurality. But do we understand the plurality of a mankind? If you are now to check that which makes up God, you go to the book of Revelation, it will show you that God is made up of 7 spirits. Meaning that if God is made up of 7 spirits, definitely his image, remember an image is the exact resemblance of the original object.
It's a copy, yeah.
Meaning that man is also made up of 7 spirits. And mankind up to this day have used the singular spirit and leaving the other 6. And the other people who have tried to go to the second spirit, you find them amongst your people. They think beyond the Elon Musks, the Bill Gates, and so forth. They understand that, no, we can go beyond writing letters and start making phones, which all of us in Africa have, but no one can even make one chip. But other people have used the same mindset that we have, having realized that I am made in a special way. Meaning that if there are people who have come up with this type of utensils that we are using right now, this type of equipment, it means that you can also come up with an understanding pertaining to man and his power and the reason why he's created, which is to replenish the earth. Replenishing, it means that something has gone wrong. It needs to be recorrected back to its figure, back to its original purpose. So the purpose of a man is to replenish whatever there is. That's why you see that there are always developments, new discoveries. That's replenishing. If you are to take that understanding of replenishing, you will understand that, number one, God has no origin. Meaning that beyond the humanities that you see today, there were other people, but we don't know which form they were. Maybe at one time all the snakes were the human beings of that time. Why are they more wiser than all other animals? Why is it that from that time God gave people herbs to eat? Genesis chapter 1 verse 29, 30, 31 speaks of God giving herbs as meat unto man. So what we are saying, tiri kuti munhu liyandakandira akauya kuti agadzirise zvose zvakakombama kutsanganisira nezvose zvaangada kuona nezvaanoda kuti ari mazviri. So we have left that mark of understanding that and started to pursue things that has nothing to do with the perpetuity of human life.
Okay. To replenish.
To replenish.
So are we diminishing?
We are diminishing.
Wow.
At first, the first man lived for 930 years after sinning.
Mm-hmm.
And he fell until we come back to 120. Today, this is my elders. It's just my elders. But back in the day, compare yourself a 40-year-old versus 900. We have diminished ourselves in all aspects. We are busy eating things that are killing us. Every day we drink poisonous things, seeing, knowing. We no longer have the power to say no. So if a person have eaten his own ears, anokwanisa here kugara achine integrity of being that man that is required. Kurukunzi varuma vasiri back in the days vanhu vaivhima shumba lienda kandira. Kuvhima shumba odzoka nayo. Kunzi wa mambo. Ari oga kubata shumba kuuya nayo tano shumba yanga ichinetsa ndaibata na maoko ndaipfura iri papa nemuseve kwete nepfuti. Those were men. Remember Chaka, the way he trained his warriors. Vaisirwa minzwa empangara vogia kusvika minzwa yaita flat pane sora. And today even the white men yenze kudai ndiri ni Chaka. If you look at the movies that Chaka wacho wamuchena izvezvi. A black man doing that. We are people who built the great Zimbabwe, Leon. You without mortar. Still, scientists are still trying to figure out how did this be? We are the great children of those great men who built those things. We built the pyramids. Today, missionary to build these pyramids here in Paduze, Egypt. Those are our great grandfathers. We discovered a lot of things. We still hold the prize of the wealthiest king under the sun. King Mensa of Mali, here in Africa. That's who we are. What has gone wrong? Knowledge. We are no longer the people whom we used to be.
Is it, when you put it that way, wouldn't one argue then to say maybe it's the way of the world? That's the direction that it should take. It should come to an end. Because seriously, when you look at it, and true, it's in the Bible, 900 years, 800 years, 900 and something years.
Yes.
Today, life expectancy, at one time it was at 80. I don't think it's still at 80 in Zimbabwe. I think Kuma 60. And you're thinking, what has happened? My question would be, wouldn't the argument be
the dynamics of the issue the panonzi chisi achieri musi wacharimwa. Now hakuna unozoona the repercussion yechisi as it only need a needle spiritual eye to see kuti chisi chakarimwa. So today we are the definition of the anger of God and the disobedience of men. Where we are as we are seated, what we suffer through, we are the definition of that. And unfortunately, the definition of the anger of God is this thing that we are making new discoveries whilst they were dismitted. The dangerous theory will be kuona sakuti muri kuenda kumberi muri kupedzana, kuona sakuti muri kudevelopa muri kupera. To reach 200 years unopinda mu World Guinness Book of Records kusvika zvaisashamisa. But to God, the creator of mankind, let's move away from the prescribed and described Bible of the so-called white man. Let's come to our own people. Go kumusha nas vana sekuru vema 80 years variko kumusha vasina kumbopinda marari, ana kumbeenda kujimu but ana panorwadza because he's always walking. Kakushanda kaanoita nebadza kake, it's a natural law. Zvaanodya madays atakanga tinwa mahewu asina sugar, we thought it was poverty. We never thought it was a blessing in disguise. Nokuti whenever a sugar comes in the body, it disturbs the flow of blood. It disturbs the makeup of blood whenever it is added in the body. But every day, tinoenda kuma party and akazara ma cakes, tovata zvipoisona bichana, tonwa ma drinks akadai kuzaraya ane tetrazine and all such things. Ka 300 ml kerimwe drink atinga mention zvedu pano kane 17 teaspoons of considered sugar. Yopinda mu system yemunhu. That's where you see the strength of the system. Kuti inombozama kurwa. But definitely 10 years drinking sugar, what will come out of it? Ava vakaita sokuti vakanga vasina mari havana sugar, they are walking. My father is around 78 years old. He walks 10 kilometers without a challenge. I go there to walk 1 kilometer mugomonda akufemeruka.
So, like we said, I know you've got a very deep understanding of mankind and what is happening, where we were, where we are going. But we then said we want to zero in on the men, Anonzi Murume. And when you began, you said what he eats, Magatarotuma GMO, is weak food. Are you therefore saying the assertion that today we have weaker men is connected to what you're saying? It's what we are eating that has made us weaker. Are you also then agreeing that we have a family, or should I say weaker men than we had before?
That's if there was this word like internal agreement with you, internal percentage agreement with you, the theory of mankind is a little bit complicated. Pakuti munhu achivakwa mudumbu ramai chinotanga kuonekwa iblood chete. In that blood ndo mune bvudzi, ndo mune maziso, ndo mune voice, ndo mune nzwara, ndo mune zvigunwe. The intelligence of that blood. That blood tends to be the physical embryo that you see, which starts by creating a head with its brain. Then the brain is starts to work all other things out. Now, what I am saying, I am trying to give you the arithmetic of the food. The blood is made up of the food. Zvajiwana and the mysterious creation of that power. The blood will continue in the system of mankind. And yet, this blood now is made up of weaker things, Leon. So, the make-up of this man, they were chicken. Yakaitwa 3 weeks. Baba any chicken in 3 weeks. This is the blood. Saka by nature, hamuna munu. Mune chinge wo chinu. Chine shape ye munu. Chine shape of a male. Chisina moyo wakashinga. Nukuti bones rachi gadzira. Arisire 2 years. Ndere 3 weeks. Saka you are looking at froth, mafuro, emun. Saka unorowa ne ana. Nokutinira kumvura chaiko. Because varaido, this is the man. I can go a bang sound outside. Hands whooshing of approaching. Because of the makeup.
And we're tracing back this to food.
This is food that I'm talking about.
Wow.
This is food. So I chose to come with this dimension so that our listeners and viewers can be provoked into their mindsets and try to research the make-up of a human being comes from the food. So when you are looking at a food, you are either looking at your strength or your weakness. You are either looking at your extension of days or dismissing them. Food on the table. Before you even pray. That Father bless this food that you have given me. You are looking at those things. You are looking at the final destination of you. It's just a matter of time. It's only today that you'll be full on your tummy because you have loaded it inside. But the things that are being taken out of that food will definitely kill you. Why? You are poisoning that system of blood that was created within you.
Wow.
So we don't have men.
We don't have men. Now, when the world looks, and this is where my question is coming from, and I'm kind of happy, even though I'm a man, a modern day man, and I feel challenged, but I'm kind of happy that it seems like we are going in the direction that the world is seeing. The man is supposed to be the provider.
Yes.
In the home. And you alluded to the fact that back in the days they used to bring lions.
Yes, in the community and they become kings.
Yes. Does a man become less of a man if he cannot provide?
Back in the day, there were duties. If I will start with the Bible, go to the book of Proverbs, chapter 31, to our viewers when they find the time. A woman of virtue, which I have only find in that lines of scripture, not anywhere else outside the scripture. I didn't find, but anonyorwane shake. Zinonzi anomukarungwana ngwana, ane vashandi mukadzi vanoenda kumaminda vachidzokera nezvekudya. Zonzi iye anoprovidera murume wake, unomuitira nguvo dzekuti achigara mune elders unoremekedzwa. A woman of virtue provide for the family in other levels. Then the man is the protecting figure that brings in inheritance. Zvinouya navakandiyero vachidzoka kwavari. Vanouya nezvakakura kupfuura sugar. Men has been reduced to be buyers of 2 kgs of sugar, whilst they must be owners of land, owners of mines, so that inheritance is sure to generation. How can your child inherit a certificate, which is good? In certificate but you must have something that is tangible. Vakandiyero sababa musuwa munobva panyika. Certificate rokudzidza kwenyu haripi vana nhaka. havaendi kukambani kwenyu kunoku, havaendi ikoko. A father must think along those lines. A husband must think along those lines. Kuti mwana wavanhu uyu kuri kuti chinoda madzande pakutaura kwechiri pachona ini ndaenda unosara nei. What is the tangible? Do the society in a whole considers the inheritance inofana kusara ina vana? We are talking of a man, the provision of a man. But we have been reduced to be buyers of drinks and cooking oil. The manhood has been taken away. The fatherlyhood. Do you know kuti vana baba vazhinji vanofunga kuti dzimba hadzina kumira zvakanaka? No. Imwe ilevel yepower. Not the power the power of presence. When you become an answer for everything in a society, people will push you to be their leader. If the general populace can push you to be their leader, what more about your wife? But when you have put off the worksuit of being a father, you become valueless. Many men have gone away from that system of understanding. They fight for crumbs under the table, without themselves understanding that no, we have to show leadership. You are a man. What's the difference between you and David? What's the difference between you and Samson? Why can't you make things work as a man? That's the man that I'm describing.
So, when we look at the average Zimbabwean man,
yes,
we are seeing a trend. It's either they're resorting to alcohol or alcoholism, where it consumes them instead of them consuming it. We know that drugs is a problem in Zimbabwe, even though we have females now taking drugs. But the greater figure right now, according to stats and what we see with our own eyes, it's young men and elderly men. Those are the ones that are falling to drugs. It is also proven by statistics that there is more men taking their own lives when pressure hits them than women. Is the average Zimbabwean man coping? Are we winning or not?
So far, we are not winning land. Because every day the statistics, men are crying within themselves without anything to do. Let me tell you what. I once met a man who was crying nechikonzero chekuti vanga vasvika pakusanzwisana namai. Kunzi kusanzwisana kwavo kwakabuda pakuti mai vanenge sekuti kubasa kwavaienda vakanga vaita right way yokuti vava kufambidzana nemumwe kubasa ikoko. So he came to me. Richard, can you help me on this issue? Now, men in society do not have an advantage like our peers. It's not easy for a man. Paya murume panoti anoda musikana unenge achitoda zviro kwazvo wapedza. But iwo paunoti kumusikana uyu ndinomuda. Musikana iye une vanhu 4 vari kutaura the same thing kwaari. It's a matter of choice. Chinotomupa nguva yekuzokuudza lecture iwewe kuvalua. Evaluating kuti Thompson, kuti Johnson and so forth. That alone it's pressure. Now, wazotora pane 3 and it knew was it number 1. But your mind silently is knowing very well. Kuti kune 3 pavari kuenda also. Men need to be taught. Vanofanira kunge vane ma shock absorbers. Kuti va understand that these things happens. But zoda another type of a heart now, another type of a mindset that can, it's easier for our peers, the ladies, to cry aloud outside there. It's not easier for you, Leander. Yet the moment people talk, they are releasing a certain level of pressure. So men are not molded in that area, that type of character. Yokuti vakasangana kuti muzvauziva kumba kwakadai kubekwade mukati can tell anyone ndo maitira vakaitwawo saka pressure inoita shoma kuvarume azvidaro. So which clinic shall deal with those things in men? Do our sisters understand men in that way? Do the mothers who raise up Varopa father, the boy child, understand these shocks that will come to the young man as he's growing up? That there is competition out there, competition for everything. Competition for your wife, competition for your kids, competition for dressing, competition for eating, competition for the hairdressing, competition for haircuts, competition for the language. How is your tone? Do you speak like a Briton? Or you speak like someone coming from cities where I hail from? All those are competitions. Silent competition that makes men to suffer. But how can we mold our men in such a structure that they become resilient? We need to draw up that men that I have alluded to. The men who understand the duties that he has come to do. Kuti panda touya pano, ndauya kuzoita replenish. Panda uya pano, ndauya kuzotonga. Kana tichiti kutonga, hatisi kureva kufamba uchiharasa vanhu tiri kureva kuti till the land, work the soil, do what is supposed to be done for you to understand the virtues of being a human being.
It's interesting that you bring up the issue of how women are able to vent out, share, and even cry. There's now, in the face of the things that I've spoken about, men resorting to drugs, men resorting to alcohol, men resorting to suicide, there's now a call for men to emulate and even imitate what the women do. Free kuchema. Men should let down their guard and be human.
Okay.
Wasanyari kushare, wasanyari kuchema. What would you say?
I would rather take the pathway of the scripture. I have a few scriptures that
Which is?
Number one, the punishment that men got, the reason why we were punished for God was not because of eating the food. It was because of listening to the voice of his wife. So we have to be very careful. If we start crying, like women, like our sisters, if we start crying, I don't think the pillars of the land will remain stable.
Okay.
I think one way or the other, we have already gone to weakness. The reason why you find a lot of people vachizonyura mukudakwa, kuchinuiwa kusiri kunwa kuzvivaraidza, it is a way of crying. But look at the way of crying, how it has come out. They are vending out. Vanobva pamba obati aregaini bonopedza shungu nedzimwe shamwari dzangu. They drink the whole day. When they come up, instead of finishing the trouble, doro mupopoti wine mudani vatanga kuputirana vadzimai. Saka vanomuka mangwana zvakabuilda kubva pachi pavakasiyira nezuva. Saka this is the way. So what advice will I give?
Yes.
I believe there's still a chance for mankind to be on platforms like this one, Leand. Call many men. Ngapaite a forum of men. Where 4 are seated there, 5 are seated there. Let's talk about it. Let's debate. The moment we are discussing, definitely something is coming out. Someone unoanazano kubapane kutaurwa akaenda kunozviimplementa. At times, do you know kuti being quiet pane panonzi mindronyoro inodzora kutsama. Then chimwe chisiri pamhindronyoro isina kunyorwa leo kunyarara chaiko kukatorwa zvakanaka kunokwanisa kuita advantage. Pane chinhu chandokwanisa kukuitira Lianda ukasachiziva iwewe toramba tiri mashamwari kuti handiri chiwakazodya $10 yangu yeye asi musi unoya shamwari yechitatu yakaona nichitora $10 ikakudza kuti Lianda unoziva kuti Richard ndiye wakatora $10 yako kuti ndakasiziva. You will see how evil I am, not because of me but because of a friend who was trying to play good. Isu ndakatokumbira regero nechomwoyo ndatopedza newe kuti ashamwari yanga iri nzara iyai. Saka ndakaonuka ndikakukumbira newe waida kuisa fiwira usaizondipa. Saka nzara ndakafunga kuti vana vangafane nzara. But this friend we have come with him. That's why God, having created men asina kupfeka. The dangerous thing was for men to know that he was naked. God asked him, what's going on? Who told you this? So I think it's not a wise thing to see men in the streets crying aloud. You know, there's the structure of and protocol of men.
Kuchemera mudzimai wake kuti ndaremerwa bhururu ndatadza.
Zvinokwanisa kubudisa zvinhu zviviri. Chokutanga anokwanisa kunzwira ngoni zvakanyanya kuti no Richie, don't cry. But musawa munovhiringana unopasozoudzwa kuti mashoko iwayo kundosaka muchingochema vamwe varume vakashinga kudzoka unochema nokuti hanzi pashaikwa murume chaiye murume mungateererawo zvangu ini mukadzi
saka zoregedzwa here.
Let men start to study who is he for him to understand.
Okay.
Aungoambi kuregedza. Let's start to listen to to programs like this which builds up a man. Kuti let every man have a time to read. Read extensively about men. Read the Bible. Read the Quran. Read whatever that you can. Tsika dzedu. Kuti varume vaimboita sei. Murume aigaronda vana varamba vachingodya nemavheji. Otora museve. Wokuenda nawo musango. Atora museve kuenda nawo musango. What happens? Odzoka nenyama. Hakuna nyama inowanikwa mubedroom. Hakuna mhembwe yaunotsvaga munda mako. Musango mundu makamirira chinhu chauri kuda. Adzoka imomo pamba pabva pakasuruwara. Vanobva voombera. Maita Dhliwayo, maita beta. Muri muridzi wedu vose vaakufara nesociety vaakudya nyama. So there is a key within you that needs to be exercised for you to take your position.
Now let's talk about power. Let's talk about this need to go and hunt. And let's talk about authority. One of the things that's lacking within the homes is mataura imimi kuti pamwe ukachema unozopedzera kutaura unzi murume mukuru kuchema. So this means pane fanonge pane ka level ke authority kanofanonge karimo mumba imomo, but you correct me if I'm wrong. So for men and vanasekuru vedu nevakapfuura ka authority kako kanenge kakaripo, but like I'm saying I stand to be corrected. Ka authority kakuti achitongosvika pagedha apa vanhu vaiziva kuti baba wasvika.
Yes.
Vana vaitoziva kuti baba wasvika, vamwe vaitobva vatohwanda mudzimai autogadzira mumba kuziva kuti baba waita sei. Ndo zvinenge zviri kunzi zviri kuleka, but it's lacking because again the world is calling for a more understanding, a more compassionate man. Akasadaro akasava this understanding men anonzwisisa, achizobatsirawo nemaplates, achizobatsirawo nekupukuta mumba nekuchengeta vana. The word that starts with a P starts to come in. Patriarchy. Murukutonga nesimba.
The natural law of creation, but you are not wrong on what you have said according to the word that we read as scriptures. Chinonzi murume is a priest of the house. Azvina kuitwa newe. Number one, you don't choose to be a man. Kutori nerimwe simba rakazvigadzira. It was for a reason. There is no woman who chose to be a woman. We can fight to be many women, to be a man and a woman. We can fight to do that. But creation is not like that. Yakanyatsa kupa mukaha. Hakuna murume unotakura nhumbu. Vakazogadzirwa izvozvo varume vakutakura nhumbu. By nature zvinosvika zvakadaro. Ngatidzokei kuvana vatiri kurera. The scripture says, if you spare a rod, you spoil a child. Inovawo our own His Excellency President Idi Mnangagwa vakata ngavarobwe vana. Itsika yekuti mwana haarobwi, akanorobwa unoreva ini handina kudaro. Vakaudza madzimambo takashinzwa tose. Mwana ngaatirangwe. Hakuna kuipa kuranga mwana. Hakuna mubereki ungaranga mwana wake zvokuda kukuvadza. Asi unoda kuti aite tsika dzakanaka. Kusaranga ikoko ndo kwaita kuti back in the day mwana usati asvika pazera rokuzvishandira kana kukura below 18 years ausainwa doro kudhakwa. Asi izvozvi pavanotangira nokuda kwekufanana kwedzakunzi tsika ma-equal rights edu atakagadzira. Mwana akamwa ari grade 7 ngaamwe zvake iraiti yake kakararadza kakadaro. Saka kana azopedza zvokudhakwa nezvinodhakwa, because the system will become addicted. Waakuda something higher, ndo paakutsvagira imamwe madrugs now. Wasiyana nezvana black label nezvana chibuku zvenyu izvi. Hachazvidi. System yake paanenge ane 36 years une 26 years experience of drinking beer. Basa ndo rasati ashanda bedzi. Asi zvokudhakwa izvi ndezvake. What do we expect? So we have moved away tose chakadaro kuti tidzoke apa panoda dzidziso chimwe nachimwe chakauya nedzidziso kuti tizoziva marights acho kudzidziswa saka tiri kuti ofisi yeumai haina kuitwa dukubodo ndiyo itori hombe mushamukadzi. Remember, when it comes to the rise of women, to this day, akunota for Africa. If you go to Hollywood, if a lady goes to Hollywood and stars in an A movie, Maria anotambira inenge iri less than yemurume uri play the same, no more than 2/3. CNN news reporter kana uri mukadzi Maria anotambira, check on Google. Vakadzi vangani vakazoti vapedza vakaenda kumakotsi. Could no, but I was doing the same work. Meaning that we as Africa, we revere our women more than any other place. You remember Queen Sheba? We respect mothers. That muno Zimbabwe. Vatinoita revere. What is a woman? Meaning that we revere in understanding, we revere in authority, tradition, and all understanding that can be there. Saka tinonzwisisa role yomumwe na mumwe kuti ava ndi baba vakatakurei, ava ndi mai vakatakurei.
Richard, obviously this was for us to stir
Thank you.
the cup and want to begin a discussion on the role of men. Is men winning?
Yes.
Where should we go? I would want to let you go by asking you another question. You said we are here to replenish,
Yes. Yes.
but it looks like we ourselves are diminishing, and we are also diminishing the resources.
Yes.
In very few words, what is the way forward?
The way forward is we need to reconcile ourselves back to our Maker, to have the rightful understanding. Remember, all these are products of the disobedience of our Maker. The word disobedience is loaded with every foul thing that we see today. And the word obedience is full of all things that we need. That's why I will always add the scriptures, which says, if you hearken unto my voice, this is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28, you will be high above all nations. Your granaries will be full. Your blessings will overtake you. But if you hearken not, you will suffer the consequences of not hearkening. That's my advice to the world.
Richard, it's been great. This has been Tell Me More, because we were trying to get into your understanding, which we respect so much here on Izwa, keeping you in the know, understanding of the purpose of mankind. But we decided to start off where we feel that there's a problem in Zimbabwe.
Thank you.
We speak about Zimbabwe because that's where we stay, that's where we come from, and that's the country that we want to build. It could be happening elsewhere, but we want to start with our own brothers. As they become fathers, as they come out of boyhood, what should they know? What should they prepare for? What can we correct? We want to thank you for this first edition of Tell Me More.
Thank you.
We will be inviting you more because we really need to help each other.
Thank you very much.
Not just as men, but also mankind. Because women also need to understand, like you correctly said, how does she also come and support that? So thank you very much for being here on Tell Me More. And we will be definitely expecting you in more editions.
Thank you very much, Leander. Thank you very much, viewers.
Tell Me More right here on Izwa, keeping you in the know. We were with Richard Dhliwayo, just letting us know the purpose of men and where he feels we've gone wrong. What were your takeaways? Let us know on 0772 751 573. And we will also want to hear your comments. Continue to like the Facebook page, the YouTube channel, and share. And let's build a bigger community. Otherwise, our job here is to keep you in the know. Bye-bye for now.